Okay, welcome to the database design participation project. Hopefully you've already downloaded the data files that we're going to be working with today. It's going to be this big education Excel workbook. So I'm just going to right click over the zipped folder right here and I'm going to click extract all. And if I extract it, you should be in this data folder right here, data files dash wv kep dash dd. And if I double click on the education file right there, this is what should come up. So one of the first things that you'll notice is you have all of the data all in this one big worksheet right here. And that's not ideal because there's a ton of not only duplicate values, but you also have these overlapping fields. You have fields that don't need to go together for one thing. And we can broadly split this information into two categories. Information about statistics like dropout rate, um, enrollment, attendance rate, things like that. And then information about the schools themselves, what county they're in, the school name, the grades that they serve, the region, etc., etc. All right, so another thing to note when we're going through this is whether Access or Excel is going to be the best choice to work with the data. So if you were looking to do something in Excel, it would be best suited if like to use Excel when you're going to be making charts or visuals, or if you're going to be performing some kind of intense calculations or doing like a what if analysis. Um, you can also work with redundant data a lot easier in Excel because there's this feature, if you're in the table right here, if you have everything set up in a table and you go under the design tab, you can actually remove duplicates, and we'll get to that a little bit later after we separate things properly. If there's large amounts of redundant data, Access is better to store it, um, but Excel is simpler to work with removing the duplicates in this case. In Access, you'd have to make like a query or something. Um, if there's lots of different categories of data like we have here, Access would be better to store because they might be related. If you're going to form relationships between these different tables that we'll be making, then Access will be better to work with it after that's all done. So for today, we're going to be working primarily in Excel, and we're going to prepare everything for Access. So we can broadly classify the information in front of us into these two big super categories, like schools and annual statistics, because you have certain information, for example, like about the school year, the enrollment, the dropout rate, stuff like that, the attendance rate, and that's all statistical information. That's not necessarily about the school itself. However, the county, school name, um, and like whether the school is like an elementary school, intermediate school, middle school, high school, that's all information about the schools themselves. So I'm going to actually separate those right now by copying this education database or this education worksheet, and I'm going to rename this first one to schools, and I'm going to copy it again by right clicking over the worksheet tab and clicking move or copy, and I'm going to create a copy right there, and I'm going to rename that one to annual statistics. So the information that's going to go in the annual statistics is going to be the school year and the dropout rate onwards, and getting the information for these tests, for example, like the West test, social studies, math, reading, and those scores. But this information right here, the county, the school name, grade served, that's all going to be superfluous. And we're going to just further decompose this information For example, when we go and take a look at the dropout rate, we're actually going to separate that out a little bit later into its own category. The school's information likewise can be decomposed to information about the county, um, and like the region, the population. You don't need to know about the population of a given area, or like the region. If you're just looking for information about the school, you want to know like whether it's an elementary school, middle school, high school, what grades are served, um, and that kind of information. We can't really reorganize the fields. We can't really split any of this information up. The regions are all like the full name. So we don't have a north region and a central region. We have like north central, we have eastern panhandle, southwestern, so forth like that. It would confuse those actual the north central region with a north and a central region. We can't split up these numbers or like these yes no categories or the names of the schools, for example. Um, so none of these fields are really good candidates for that. And these fields also can't be consolidated into one field. For example, it isn't appropriate to consolidate like is elementary school, is intermediate school, is middle school into one big category because you just end up with yes, no, 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 or no, 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 that kind of thing, and that's not helpful at all. So what I'm going to do now is actually start making the other two tables that we're going to need. So I'm going to copy the education database again, and this one is going to be called counties. And I'm going to copy it one more time. And I'm going to call that one dropouts. Okay. And you want to leave the education worksheet alone. You don't want to just rename that one just in case anything goes wrong on any of these sheets. You can just copy the education database again and just fix it like that. So let's start off with the schools table. So the schools is going to have the county, the school name, the grade served, whether it's an elementary school, intermediate school, or middle school, and that's it. So I don't need the school year. I don't need the region. I don't need the population. So I'm just clicking the entire columns right up top here when my cursor turns into this uh, bold black down pointing arrow and the column itself is green. And then I'm right clicking and just clicking delete. And then everything from dropout rate all the way over to the last West test can get deleted as well. So you're left with these 7 fields right here for schools. The next one I'm going to do is going to be this annual statistics table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the county, the school name, the school year, which is already here, um, the enrollment, attendance rate, graduation rate, and then all of these West test scores. So I don't need the grade served or the region, population, or whether it's an elementary school, middle school, high school, or the dropout rate. So everything from grade served, so column D, all the way over to column K right here is going to get deleted. So this is what you'll be left with right here. And then the next one we're going to do is the counties. So this is just going to have the county, region, and population. So school year can get deleted. School name, grade served can get deleted. And then pretty much everything from column D right now all the way over to column P is getting deleted. So you should be left with these three fields right here: county, region, and population. And the last one is this dropouts. So we're just going to have the county, the school year, and the dropout rate. So everything from school names all the way over to is high school. So that's columns C through J are going to get deleted. And everything from enrollment all the way over to the last West test is getting deleted. So the next thing that we're going to take a look at is kind of removing some redundancy that's going on. And if we take a look in the schools table right here, or in Excel it's called a worksheet, but when we import this into Access it'll be as a table itself. Um, we have all these different columns right here, these different fields, like is elementary school, is middle school, is high school, and we'd really like to consolidate that into one field that kind of says everything about all this information right here, because this also doesn't take into account schools that are none of the above, for example, as technical institutes, or like if they're just like an other type of school, like a community college perhaps, or something like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert a table column to the right, and we're going to call that school type. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to make a new worksheet by clicking the little plus sign over here. And we're going to rename this to school types. And the first column that we're going to have, this first field is going to be the school type abbreviation. So school type abbrev. And then if I just hit tab, I'm going to make another one, and it's going to be the full name. It'll just be the school type. And this is kind of skipping ahead, but it's going to be really beneficial to do this right now. So what I'm going to do is, this is actually under 12B. Just going to kind of move this to the side here so it's easy to see. And what I'm going to do is just type in these abbreviations, and I'm going to just make that the full thing, school type name. Type in the abbreviations right here on the left, and then the school type names, the full names on the right. I'm just going to copy and paste from the instructions. And I'm going to skip ahead. You can feel free to pause the video when I come back. I'm going to have this entire thing filled in. Okay, hopefully you've got all these school types entered right here. And I'm just going to make a table out of these guys by highlighting all the data. So it should be everything from A2 all the way down to B13 if you did it just like I did. And I'm going to click Format as a Table under the Home tab. If I expand this out, it'll look like this button right here. and you're going to make sure that you select your table has headers. So it should look like that. And this way, when we go through the schools, we can make sure that we get the school type abbreviation just correct. And what we're going to do first, though, is we're going to eliminate some of these duplicates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the first column right here, which is counties. And if I go under the Design tab under Table Tools, if I click Remove Duplicates and I select all right here, and I say OK, it'll remove these 3,400 duplicates, and this will be a lot less, a lot fewer school types to go through and sort through. All right, so now what we're going to do, now that we have our reduced schools table right here, we're actually going to sort through the school types to figure out exactly what we need. So we're going to start off with the elementary schools, which is abbreviated as ELS. So that's something that a school that is only an elementary school. So under the filters tab, if I just click this drop down right here, I'm going to uncheck the no's because we want only yeses. And I'm going to make sure that all of these ones over here is at intermediate school, is middle school. I'm going to make sure that those are all no. So I'm going to uncheck any yeses going on right there. And then what I'm left with will be only ones that are elementary schools. So as you can see, primary school, elementary school, so on and so forth, going all the way down. And we'll see that most of these, like about 400 of these schools right here are elementary schools out of the 700 or so. So I'm going to type in ELS, and I'm going to autofill all the way down to the very last one. And the next one is just the intermediate schools. So if I go back to the schools table, if I say no for elementary schools and I uncheck the yes, I'm going to check only the yeses for is intermediate school and make sure these last two are no's. And they are. So I'm going to type in INS. The next one will be just the middle schools and then just the high schools. All right, so I just made sure that these three were no's and that this one was definitely a yes. So this one is MDS for middle school. And the last one is a high school. So make sure that these first three are no's and that is high school is a yes. So that's HIS for high school. And then we have these other schools right here. For example, uh, elementary and middle schools. So the way we'll get that is the elementary schools will be a yes, and then the high school and intermediate schools will be no's. So this is EMS, and then the next one is middle and high school. So is elementary school will be no, right? Because we want middle and high schools. Yeah. So that intermediate school is a no, is middle school is a yes, and is high school is going to be a yes. So should be the MHS type, middle high school. And then we're going to look for ones that are elementary school, middle school, and high schools. So we're just going to make sure that is elementary school is a yes, and then these other two should be yeses from the one we just did. So EMH. And then the only other one we might be able to get will be the preschool. So if we remove all these filters by clicking the clear filters, we should see most of these are all filled in, but there's a few like here that are not. And what we can do is we can take a look at the grade served, and if we scroll all the way down, we'll see that there's one that is just pre-K. So if we uncheck the select all at the very top of these grade served options right here, and then we scroll down again, we're just going to select pre-K to pre-K, and we're left with these ones. And the abbreviation for pre-K is PRE for preschool. Okay, and then we're going to remove the filters from here, and we're going to uncheck the select all and find only the blanks, and see we're only left with a couple of these ones where we don't have information about what grades are served. So this one is a technical center, vocational technical center. So this made it quite a bit easier. There's only a couple of these ones right here that we'll have to label technical centers. So TEC. And then our last category is our last two are alternative school and others. And we don't know exactly whether these ones, at least I don't know offhand, whether these ones are other or alternative schools. So I'm going to leave those unlabeled at the moment. All right, so now for the schools table, we can just delete the is elementary school, is intermediate, is middle school, is high school. And we're just left with the school type abbreviation, which I'm going to just add the abbrev part right at the end there so we know that it's an abbreviation, not the full name. And we're going to go through these other tables here, starting with annual statistics, and we're going to remove any of the duplicates going on. So I'm going to select right there where the header is, and then wait and like hover over kind of in between the school year and that A column right there. And when my cursor turns into that black bold arrow, and go under the design tab, and I'm going to remove duplicates. Should select all for you. You want to make sure that your data has headers is checked, and you're going to say OK. So no duplicates are found. That's good. Now we're going to go into counties and do the same thing. So under here in the counties worksheet, going to select this one right here, remove duplicates. OK. You make sure that your data has headers is checked and all these fields are selected. And there's 4,000 duplicate values removed. So as you can see, that's a lot cleaner than what we started out with. And the last one is this dropouts right here. So we're going to again go into the design tab, remove duplicates, make sure that all these are selected and your data has headers is checked. And you should be left with about 330 actual values now. So now that we have the final data that we're going to be working with, it's kind of important to consider what fields, what columns will be suitable for the primary keys or composite primary keys. So what the easiest way to do if you have the data here in Excel is to actually just go uncheck, like select all for these columns and see what combination of these will give you a unique value for just like selecting one particular type in that field. So for example, I'm selecting just Barber County right here. And if it doesn't give you just one unique value, then you may need to have multiple fields. So for example, if I have these two fields, the county and the school name for the schools table, then I can get just one particular value. But for example, or if I just use the school name. So the reason I'm not going to use only the school name for this one, even though it would provide a completely unique value for the schools table, is because I want to be able to form a relationship between this table and another table. For example, like the counties table or the dropouts table or something like that. And counties comes up in all of these other tables right here, including annual statistics. So it'll be something that it'll be a point of connection. So I can form a relationship in access. So I'm going to set both of these as the primary key. It's going to be a composite primary key. So because the counties is found in a whole bunch of different tables, it's going to form one point of connection for pretty much every table except for the school types. The other uh, the other thing that's found in multiple tables is the school type abbreviation that's found in the schools table, as well as the school types. Um, we're going to be able to use the school year as well. That's found in the annual statistics table, and it's also found in the dropouts table as well. So those are how we're going to form relationships. But now we don't need the education worksheet anymore, so I'm just going to delete that. And this is our finished product. So All right, so save it, submit it, and have